Yeah, so... Sorry. Hello and welcome to another edition of Art Exhibition Vlogs with me, Adelaide Damoah. Today, I'm not in my usual setting of my studio. I am in the studio of Evans Mbugua in Paris, France. I'm here because Evans is taking part in a show at the Gallery of African Art in Mayfair, and that's what we're here to talk about today. He's going to go into detail about the work that he has in the show, which is a gorgeous fusion of printmaking and portraiture. It has to be seen to be believed. If you'd like to see the work in person, please do go to the exhibition. It's on until the 24th of September 2016. If you're watching this after that date, then please do click the link below in the description bar here on YouTube. There's a link to his website and also to the website of the Gallery of African Art. So let's see what he had to say. At the moment, you've got your show at the Gallery of African Art in Mayfair, right? And it is part of the show called...
Style Fusion.
Style Fusion.
Yeah.
And how did that come about?
Style Fusion?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a gallery that actually came up with the Style Fusion title. But then I guess it's really fantastic because I didn't know that I was going to be showing with Àsìkò. I'd never met him before. I'd never ever seen his work. But then when I received the title of the show, and then I went to see his work, I was like, yeah, that feels like a good title, because there's something like there's a feel of style in his work. There's a bit of style in my work. There's quite some style in my work, I think, and then it's kind of a fusion between my painting and his photography. Yeah.
And so your paintings that are in the show, does that series have a particular name?
Not particularly. We had a selection of work that I was working on, but it's still a continuous process. I really haven't worked on it as if it's a series. It was just a selection out of my works. We had the paintings showing. We're supposed to have a video also. So it was just some set of work that we wanted to show.
Yeah. You've been working in that way with the print combined with the I guess, portraits since 2011, am I correct?
Well, I've been working on the prints since 2005.
Okay.
Or 2004 when I was at the art school. And then from 2011, I specifically went back to researching more on the process of creating these prints, which I had stopped between 2005 and 2011 when I was working professionally as a graphic designer. And then the portraits come in at around 2013, which is just a process of research and experiments in my studio.
Yeah. Okay, I'm really, really interested in the symbols or the motifs that you use as part of the printing process. And I have recognised something that reminds me of a body santan, which is a particular Adinkra symbol from Ghana. So could you please explain your use of, you call them pictograms, right?
Pictograms, yeah.
Pictograms.
Yeah.
Your use of pictograms in your printing, and how you then went from that to combining those pictograms with portraits.
Yeah, traditionally we've always used signs, like as you mentioned in Ghana with the eye. Traditionally we use these signs to symbolize something or to give a status or to mark a certain era, just as a means of communication in general. So this has been used either on fabric, it's been used on jewelry, accessories, scarifications, tattoos, etc. And this is a global phenomenon. I mean, it's not only African in itself. And I was interested in the process of how a sign actually, one sign which represents something so large, like a sign could be representing the earth and the universe. So it talks about, something, heaven or whatever it is, in a traditional way. And how in my contemporary context we have signs which are also a form of communication. It's a whole sentence. Wait, do not cross. And then when the green man, when it turns green, that means, okay, now you can walk safely, but you still have to check. So it's one sign that's used to communicate. So in my contemporary context, I went back to this, and then I tried to find a way of creating a new universal language out of something that's very common. I'm very interested in all these urban signs, some of traditional, but a sign which would be used in France would be probably the same used in England, but then it may not be the same one used in, in Sri Lanka or in Egypt or in wherever, Sierra Leone. But then it's still the same message. It's a different sign, but it's the same message. So how do I create something that's universal out of this? And then the human being, obviously the people who I paint, it's because naturally these signs are used by human beings. And for me, that's a way of creating a link between us. It's symbolic for me. One sign which everybody uses, like the green man I said, walk. It's used by anybody, everybody, no matter how tall, how big, white, black, whatever. It's a universal sign, and so my paintings naturally have to do with human beings. Yeah.
And so that's how you made the jump from using the pictograms to combining them with...
Yeah, it's
portraits.
A direct link, because the pictograms that I particularly use are urban pictograms. And in an urban setting, we are definitely talking about human beings. They're the ones who create the urban, cities. And generally, we all know that in 2050, I think, or is it 2030? I think it's 2050. Will be more people living in urban areas than in rural areas. So there's a human aspect that is really present. It's a core of my work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why is it that you use the tiny dots to build up the portrait?
Yeah, it's still,
pointillism.
Yeah, it's still part of the symbolism. It's a metaphor. One dot for me represents one individual. So when you pick up so many individuals on one portrait, that's a society, that's a town, that's a city, that's a grouping,
Wow. So one portrait could be... It's impossible to count how many dots are on one portrait.
Yeah.
So
I think for me it's impossible to count. When I'm working, I work with music, so it's the music that gives me the rhythm. So probably I'd have to, one day I'll have to listen. I have to just take count of how much music I've listened to. Probably then we will say that the number of dots that I've used represents so many songs.
So many songs, or maybe notes in songs, or
yeah,
you could go back and back and back and back to the tiniest component of a song.
Of the song, yeah, because it's actually exactly the same thing. It's
a beat or a note.
A beat, yeah. Yeah, you're getting the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The portraits themselves, do you have a particular technique for building up the image? Because obviously they're made of tiny dots. I can't see any lines in there at all. So do you have a technique that you use to build them up? Because they're quite... even when you go up close to the image, you can still see the form of the image.
Yeah.
So do you have a particular technique that you use to make sure that you get it right?
I'm using a lot of transparency. So I'll be playing around with the image and light. I'll be projecting it from in front or from behind. And then from there, I'll try and, using my paint, try and get as much detail as I can. But it's some kind of obsession actually, because I've always, since I was a kid, I've always doodled with dots, and then trying to create volume just using dots. Could it be a circle? Could it be a mag? Whatever it is. So I think with time, some sort of technique that naturally have developed. This could be dots. There's a time I used to use like crosses, so I'd be crossing, it was all hatched. And then I remember in 2000 and that must have been 2002, I had this Japanese teacher who was really specialized in, this kind of drawing. So he took me deep into the technique of how to use dots to create a volume. When you accumulate so many of them, it could create depth, as it could, it could create emptiness. So it's just how do you play with all these dots on a flat surface to create a volume. Yeah, and then using colors also. Yeah, of course, because I won't be. I try and use different colors, so that also creates texture on the flat surface.
So you use the print comes first, and then you go over the top with the dots to build up the portrait.
The print comes first, and then the painting actually it's on perspex or on glass.
Wow.
So that's what overlays the print, and then the combination of this creates the depth that you see on the paintings.
Okay, so you've got the print, which is the little pictograms first, and then you use paint to build up the dots.
Yeah.
What paint do you use?
Oil paint.
Oil paint.
Yeah.
So you use normal black oil paint, is it?
Black oil paint. I have black, white. I have the primary colors.
Yeah.
Orange, pink, green. Got some gold. Got some silver. What other colors do I have? Brown.
For the extra bits, but for the figures themselves, they all seem to be mainly black.
Most of the time, it to be black.
Black paint.
Yeah.
And with the people that you choose for the portraits, how do you choose them? Because some of them are recognizable, and some of them are not.
I'll be choosing people according to I'm often looking for the positive energy out of whoever I'm going to be painting, because for me it has to be a happy moment when I'm painting. I paint as I said, I use music, and most of the time I want to have a good time. I want to suck out all the positive energy that I can get out of the person that I'm going to be painting, or the atmosphere that I have around me. So it could be friends who have a positive effect on me, people who make me happy, who make me laugh, people who have spent a good time with, people who have, whether it's a celebrity. Most of the time there's something that I find optimistic about them. Could be joy, it could be hard work, it could be, just some kind of principles which for me, they're like virtues and stuff which makes me want to wake up tomorrow. To do something. It's just the human aspect, actually. That's what's interesting. That's the main interest that I have.
I noted that obviously different people take different things from them depending on especially with the pictograms, depending on what they see in that pictogram. Could be a different cultural background or whatever their experience is that makes them see something different. But what do you want people to take from the work?
I want people to, there's something playful about my work. So it's the fact that you might be able to recognize who is on the photo, who's being painted. And then you may not be able to recognize what pictogram, what sign I've used. So if you're more curious, you're going to look for it, and when you find it, there's some playful effect to it. Like when you're a kid, you're playing around with your toys and you're building up your own stories. So for me, I just want people to try and create their own stories out of what they're seeing. I don't necessarily have to tell the whole story about how I came up with a pictogram. The other day I was in Morocco and I created a print out of a sign that was in the town, and when we had the show, the exhibition, the opening, people are looking, they're very interested. But then when I told them it was a sign that they had, just right outside the gallery, and then when they realized that they'd actually seen it and they know it, there's some kind of joy and satisfaction. And then I would see people running off to go and look at the other ones to find out what sign has been used on it. So there's that fun, playful effect that I want people to, get out of it. That's how I see life. For me, life is almost like, it should be fun. It should be, whatever situation you're going through, there's always some kind of hope that you have at the end of it, some kind of joy that you could get out of it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to make out of my work. Something fun. Yeah.
It definitely is fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
So how long, the exhibition is on until the 24th of September,
yes.
correct?
Yeah.
At the Gallery of African Art. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks very much for joining me for that edition of Art Exhibition Vlogs with me, Adelaide Damoah. Today I've been in Paris. I've had a wonderful day. If you'd like some more information about Evans, please do check the links below. If you'd like to see the exhibition, please do go down to the Gallery of African Art in Mayfair. It's on until the 24th of September 2016. If you are watching this after that date, then please do click the links down below in the description bar where there's all the information about the Gallery of African Art and also Evans's website. Please do subscribe to my channel because by subscribing you get to keep up to date with all of the latest interviews just like this one. You never know where I'm going to end up. Until next time, take care. Bye.